Welcome back to the channel, guys. I've kind of enjoyed making these little videos, and even though they're not really that great quality or anything like that, I don't really give a shit. So we're gonna go ahead and do an AC/DC album ranking, and I picked AC/DC because number one, I own all of their albums except one, and the only other band that I have every single album is Rush, and I didn't really feel like talking about Rush since I'm more of a bigger AC/DC fan. So we're gonna just go ahead and start off with AC/DC. Quick backstory with me with this band. They pretty much got me into music as I know it today. No One Love It Today. They got me into playing guitar. I have a couple back there. And I just love them to death. Over the years, well, I say years, it's been like 3 years. Over the past 3 years, I haven't, I still love them a lot, but I've just discovered so many other great bands. And so I don't consider them like my favorite band or anything, but I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I'm an AC/DC super fan, and I do love this band to death. So before we started, I thought I'd share this. I just got done reading this book called AC/DC at 50 by Martin Popoff, which is he's a really cool rock and metal critic. You can watch him on Sea of Tranquility, and there's the back, and very cool book. It basically does AC/DC's 50 greatest moments. It's very good. If you're a fan of the band, I'd recommend checking this out. It's a very fun read. And a lot of stuff in here. So anyways, let's not waste any time and get right into it. There's 16 studio albums. I'm not counting Jailbreak, which is an EP. At the bottom of the barrel, so coming in at number 16, the worst AC/DC album is, in my opinion, Stiff Upper Lip from 2000. To me, this album is just kind of boring. It doesn't have anything that really gets my attention, up. I think that the songs are very mid. The title track, everybody says, is super great. I'm not a big fan of that song. I think Safe in New York City is the best song on the album, and even that is kind of on the mid zone, if that makes sense. I think everything, I understand the band was trying to get back to basics sort of on this, and they didn't want a great, they were kind of went a little more commercial with Ball Breaker with the Rick Rubin production and the kind of heavier, dirtier songs, and they kind of wanted to go back to this, but in my opinion, this just doesn't work. There's 12 tracks on here. I think maybe 3 of them are okay, and the rest I don't care for. I just don't care to listen to this album. I've probably heard this maybe 5 times, but that's the least listened to AC/DC album I have listened to, and for good reason. I'm just not a big fan of it. So there are some people that like it. I am not one of those people. It's not a terrible album. It doesn't totally suck, but it's just nowhere near nowhere near as good as most of their stuff. Well, obviously it's in last, so there you go. Alright, coming in at number 15 is the only album I don't own, and that's Rock or Bust. This is a big step up from Stiff Upper Lip, I will say. I will go ahead and just show you a picture of Rock or Bust, so you you can have some idea. Let me find it in this book. I didn't actually intend on doing this, but I'll go ahead and just show you because I can. Let's see. Alright, there you are. There's some Rock or Bust pictures. There's the album cover right there. But yeah, to me, I just find this to be, it's a little too quick for me, and once again, the songs just aren't that great. I mean, Play Ball, the title track is really great. Rock the House is good. Sweet Candy's pretty good. It's better than what we get on Stiff Upper Lip, but I'm just not a super fan of the album in general. I think it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a lazy effort, but I think they could have done a little more. I believe it's their first, yeah, it says right there, their first album without Malcolm. And so I can give them a little credit for, maybe not creating the best thing in the world, but I still think it's one of their weaker efforts. And I'm not a big fan of listening to it in general. Alright, next up, at number 14, I'm going to go with Blow Up Your Video from 1988. This is pretty solid. The reason that this beats out Rock or Bust is because the singles on here are very, very good. Heat Seeker is awesome. That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll is really good. And I believe those are the 2 big singles. But I mean, the other songs on here are really good as well. I've always liked Nick of Time. Some people call it cheesy. I think it's good. Kissin' Dynamite's really good. Rough Stuff I like. And This Means More I also think is very solid as well. I think the production on here is a little not AC/DC, but I don't mind that much. I think it's a solid album. It did do well for them. It did get a platinum award. It did sell platinum, which the previous 2 did eventually, I believe, but it was not till 2001, and this got platinum in 88. So, very solid release. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. I will say, though, Two's Up and Mean Streak, I don't really care for that much. I think they kind of suck, honestly. But, not a horrible album. There's way better, but, AC/DC really doesn't have a total stinker in their catalog. And, pretty much after those bottom two, we get to good territory. All right, number 13, I'm going to go with maybe a controversial pick. I know a lot of hard AC/DC fans, hardcore AC/DC fans, my bad. I love this album. I'm not a huge fan, but, I can still dig it. Number 13, I'm going to Flick of the Switch. Hardcore AC/DC fans will put this in, the top 10, maybe even the top 5. To me, this is kind of the same problem with Stiff Upper Lip, except we actually have good songs. To me, it's kind of just boring throughout. I don't really care for a lot of the songs on here, and I've listened to this a considerable amount of times. I've tried so hard to love this, and I just can't. I'm not a big fan of the production, and I just think it's very mid. Rising Power is a good opening song. This House is on Fire is really good. Title track, Flick of the Switch, is awesome, and then probably the best song on the album, Nervous Shakedown, is really good as well. The single off of this album, Guns for Hire, is really, really good. I like that song a lot. The final 3 tracks, Bedlam in Belgium, Badlands, and Brain Shake, are all good too. And then I didn't mention Landslide, that one's okay. It's just the songs aren't, amazing. I'm not, I'm not tapping my foot necessarily. I'm not, throwing up some horns and, I don't worship this album. It's very mid. The cover to me kind of shows what you're about to listen to. Kind of a boring, bland cover. But, it's not terrible, and I know there's some diehard fans of the album. So please don't get offended. If you watch this, just tell me how much you love it in the comments, and I will like your comment, and we'll all be happy. All right, next up, coming at number 12. So this was the first AC/DC album that I ever, had a physical copy of. I got it from the library, and I listened to the whole thing, and I thought this was the best AC/DC album, ever. And then I listened to it again, and I was like, this is, the worst AC/DC album ever. But obviously, it's not that bad. Coming at number 12, I'm going to go with Black Ice from 2008. I got the yellow one. There was the yellow logo. There was a blue one, a red one, and I think even, a brown one. Whatever. I wanted the blue one, but whatever. This is very solid. The problem with this is that it's too long, and some of the songs are very mid. The first half of this is excellent. If they had just done 9 tracks, this album probably would have been a lot better. But this did sell really well for them at the time. It was the first album in 8 years, if I'm not mistaken, and it did go platinum. We got Rock and Roll Train, which is awesome. Skies on Fire is pretty good. But, I love Big Jack, Anything Goes, War Machine, those 3 songs. Those are all 10 out of 10 songs for me. Smash and Grab, Spoil the Fur Fight, Wheels are really, really good. Second half, we have Decibel and Strawberry Mayday, which, we don't really need. She Likes Rock and Roll, I think is good. Money Made's all right. And then the last 3 tracks, Rock and Roll Dream, pretty good. Rockin' All the Way, really good. But, Black Eyes soundtrack, I think is very solid. All the songs they play at the Live Aid show, no, not Live Aid. The heck, that's Queen. All the songs that they play is the live at River Plate concert live album. Those are good, and there's some hidden gems on this. But as I said, it's too long. It's almost an hour, which is too much for AC/DC. But very solid release, and I do play this every now and then, and I do like it quite a bit. All right, another controversial pick coming in at number 11. I'm gonna go with the Razor's Edge from 1990, their big comeback album, which does include their arguably biggest song, or one of the biggest songs, Thunderstruck, which in my opinion is probably their best of their bigger songs. To me, this is kind of the same issue with Black Eyes, is that the second half of this I don't really care for as much. And in fact, it has my least favorite AC/DC song of all time, which is If You Dare. I literally hate that song. It's so shit. It's it's so cringy. When they saying if you dare, I just going outside. It's just so cringe, and I just don't like that song at all. So that there you go. There's that. But everything else on here is pretty solid. Obviously, Thunderstruck, Fire Guns, Money Talks, awesome. The Razor's Edge, awesome. Mistress for Christmas. We don't need it, but I feel like this album wouldn't be the album that it is without that song, even though it is absolutely ridiculous. Rock Your Heart Out, and Are You Ready is really good. Got You by the Balls was pretty decent. Shot of Love and Let's Make It, decent songs. And then the last 2 songs, pretty ass, honestly. I don't really care about those. Solid album, though. I still give this an 8 out of... maybe not an 8, maybe a 7.5. I still blast this all the time in the car. It's just a fun album, a great album. Once again, I'm not a huge fan of the production. I think it's too clean for them, but I don't mind. The album cover's awesome. The first 7 songs are all amazing. Very solid release from this band. All right, maybe another controversial pick. I'm sorry, I'm just not. I will say one thing though. A lot of these albums could flip flop. These could change like any day. Okay, they're all really really good. And just because I place like the Razor's Edge higher than Black Eyes, like tomorrow Black Eyes may be better than Razor's Edge. So with that being said, coming at number 10, I'm going to go for Those About to Rock We Salute You from 1981. This is really solid all the way through. This used to be like one of my favorite AC/DC albums, and as I've listened to it more and more, I kind of am like, yeah, okay, it's good, it's not great. But I mean, every song on here is good. I don't want to say it's all killer, no filler, because some of the songs are mid, but I mean, there's no bad songs on here at all. Obviously, the title track, I'm not going to talk about that. I think the best songs on here are I Put the Finger on You, Inject the Venom, Snowballed, Evil Walks, Night of the Long Knives, Spellbound, Breaking the Rules. I mean, it's all really good. The only two songs that are slightly, for me, let it down are Let's Get It Up, which I think is just so silly, and COD, which is kind of a lazy song, but I mean, it's good. I know some people that are like humongous fans of COD, specifically Mick Watkins, bassist of Wild Ride. Mick, if you ever watch this, man, I love your channel, I love your band, rock on, bro. Anyways, back to this. I love this album, and Mick Watkins, like, this is like his second favorite AC/DC album of all time, I'm pretty sure. So, like, it's not a bad album by any means, it's just, for me, there's better material. You don't have to agree with me, this is my list, this is my opinions, this is not the definitive AC/DC list. I love this album, though. I do genuinely love this album. It's just not as good as some of the other stuff they have out. It's just my opinion. Alright, number 9, I'm going to go with an album that kind of blew my mind the first time I heard it, because I did not expect it to be as good as it was, and that's going to be Power Up, the new album. Well, new album, it's already 3 years old, but from 2020. This is very solid. This obviously is without Malcolm Young again, but you have all the but you do have all the Back in Black lineup except for obviously Malcolm. Every song on here is good. To me, this is like the better version of For Those About to Rock, if that makes sense. Like, I think every song is really good. There's a couple letdowns that aren't as good, but every song is really decent, and I still find myself playing this all the time. Realize and Rejection, awesome songs. Shot in the Dark, kind of the single off of this, awesome song. Through the Mists of Time, kind of cheesy, kind of commercial, don't like it as much, still good. Kick You When You're Down, kind of the same thing. But, I mean, Witch's Spell and Demon Fire, my god, those two songs back to back are just awesome. Wild Reputation is really great, and the song that they end with is Code Red. And, I mean, the album opener and the album closer on this is just fantastic. Code Red is an absolute banger song, got that cool picture of him all the way throughout. If you have not checked this album out, if you're an AC/DC fan, because you just are worried it may not be good or whatever, I would not hesitate to check it out. Very strong stuff on here, man. I think this is a really good album. I think it's a modern classic. Many years in the future, I think this is gonna be looked back as one of the better modern AC/DC albums. All right, coming in at number 8. I could have maybe put this a little lower, but for now, I think this is where it's going to be. I'm going to go with their international debut from 1976, High Voltage. First AC/DC shirt I ever bought was this part right here. Here, oh wait, what the, oh, here we go. That, I have this shirt. Some of you, if you know me, have probably seen that. But yeah, I think this album is great. I mean, I've told the story many times, not really publicly. I picked this up just to hear TNT, which, is kind of a big song off of this. Everyone knows that song. But I pretty much liked everything else better than TNT. It's a Long Way to the Top is awesome. Rock and Roll Singer is great. The Jack, it's kind of slow, but I mean, I like it. I don't dislike the song at all. Live Wire is really good. Can I Sit Next to You, Girl, and Little Lover, or probably my favorites on here, She's Got Balls and High Voltage title track. All really good. I think very solid debut. Obviously, it's their international debut, so it's not like the debut. But, like, for an international, first release, I think this is very solid. I do like that album quite a bit. Alright, the next 2 albums are going to be extremely controversial, and many of you, if you are AC/DC fans, are wondering why the heck I placed these so high, and I just do not understand why these albums get so much beef. I love these albums so much. Number 7, I'm going with Ball Breaker, man. I love this thing to death. I don't understand why it gets so much shit. It's an amazing, amazing release from the band. As an actual, record from, any band in general, no, it's not, the best. But, I mean, for this band, it's, awesome. I like the production on this. I'm not really a huge Rick Rubin fan, except for, his Slayer stuff, I guess. But, everything else, I'm not a big fan of. But, I mean, I think he does a killer job on this. Is that, a hair or whatever? Oh, never mind. That's not a hair. It's just a crack in my screen. The opening song, Hard as a Rock, I think is awesome. Cover You in Oil, decent. But, I mean, The Fuhrer, such a good song. The Honey Roll, Burning Alive, Hail Caesar, such an amazing song. Hop With Your Pants Down, Whiskey on the Rocks in the title track. All around, very solid stuff. As a full album, full through, is it as good as some of the other stuff? Maybe not, but I mean, some of the songs that are on this are just killer, dude. The only song that slightly lets it down for me is probably the Boogeyman. I think it's kind of stupid. I mean, it's still not terrible. Some people don't like this because I think it's a little too raunchy, a little too dirty, a little too tongue-in-cheek, and they don't think Brian Johnson can pull it off. I think that's utter bull. I think he can pull it off fine. I mean, he's done it before, and he just does a little more on here. But yeah, I think this is very solid. I really, really wish that I could have, like, if I was to pick one of the, this is my favorite, like, 90s album. Obviously, they only released two. But I think this is much superior to the Razor's Edge, just as a kind of before release. And it's heavy for the band, too. I mean, Ball Breaker and The Honey Roll, those songs are heavier. Not like, heavy metal type heavy, but I mean, they're heavier, man. I like this. And same thing with Fly on the Wall, bro, coming to number 6 from 1985. I think this is great. I think it's, a little heavier for the band. I get some people don't like the production on this. Like, this production compared to Ball Breaker production is, like, a lot different. But I love this, bro. I think every song on here is good. Like, great. Fly on the Wall, Shake Your Foundations, First Blood, Danger, Sink the Pink, Playing with Girls, Stand Up, Hell or High Water. Those 9 or 8 tracks, I think. Yeah, 8 tracks are all amazing. Back in Business is really good, too. It's just, it's kind of lets you down because it's like Back in Business. Well, don't they have a song called Back in Black? It's like, whatever. Send for the Man, too, the final song, really, really good. I think if they went back and cleaned this up, it would be amazing. I believe this album has sold platinum. It didn't do that until 2001, if I'm not mistaken, but I mean, who cares? The fact that this album has sold 1 million copies, I think this should have sold like 5 million, bro. This is awesome, and I don't know why people don't like it. I really don't. I really don't, bro. I find myself listening to this one, like, this is one of my most listened to AC/DC albums of the Brian Johnson era, just because I think it's so unique. Maybe I was shocked. Maybe that's why I like it so much, but I like that album a lot. Alright, top 5. So, most of these top 5, except for mostly, probably won't be a surprise to many people. Yeah. Anyways, coming in number 5, I'm going to go with one that many people probably would put higher, but I think Let There Be Rock is good for number 5. I love this album. It's like when I first actually got this copy, it was like certified my favorite. I was like the most metalhead. I was kind of getting into music at this time, and I picked this up and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is what I want. And I mean, for good reason too. The title track alone just really would get me hyped. Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be is one of the best AC/DC songs in my opinion. Whole Lotta Rosie too. Overdose is so good. I think it's underrated. And then every other song on here is really good as well. I think the only thing that kind of lets it down is Problem Child, because it's on Dirty Deeds, and when I listen to AC/DC albums, I usually will listen to them back to back, and so when I listen to Dirty Deeds, and then I'll listen to this because this is after, and it's like, bruh, I don't want to hear the song again, but I don't care. That doesn't let it down that much. I think this is awesome. Definitely their heaviest album that they put out at the time, and it's just such a fun album to blast in the car, man. Alright, next up, I do own this album, but I don't have an actual copy to show y'all, but y'all know this album anyways. It's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. To me, the reason this is better than Let There Be Rock, and as I said, some of these could change some days, but to me, this is a top 5 AC/DC album because it's one of the most different. I mean, you have basically a ballad on here with Right On. You have interesting bass lines on Squealer. You kind of have you have the longest AC/DC song, Ain't No Fun, Went Around to Be a Millionaire. You have, the title track. You have Big Balls, a comedic song. I mean, to me, it's just different. It has so many elements of, blues and hard rock and, it's so different to me. And that's why I like it so much. So, Dirty Deeds is coming in at number 4. Sorry I don't have anything to show you. I've had multiple opportunities to pick it up on CD and vinyl, and I just picked something else like Iron Maiden or Black Sabbath or frickin', Priest. So, yeah, I like those bands a little better than AC/DC, but, I mean, it doesn't matter. I love Dirty Deeds. One of the best releases they've put out. Alright, number 3. This will be many people's number 1, but, yeah, to me it's not. That's Back in Black. And there's no denying the powerful like the power of this album. This album is perfection. This is hard rock perfection. I'd even argue this is heavy metal perfection. Everyone knows this album, and if you don't know the album, well, you know the song Back in Black, and if you don't know the song Back in Black, then what barn have you been living in all your life? I mean, you also have Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, You Shook Me All Night Long, I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, all those songs are great, but the deep cuts on here, Shake a Leg is such a good song, bro. Giving the Dog a Bone is really good. I don't know if that's actually talking about like giving a dog, like a physical dog, a bone. I think that's talking about something a little more raunchy, but I don't know. I really don't know. What Do You Do for Money, Honey? Amazing song as well. Have a Drink on Me, the ultimate party song with the boys. Rock and Roll, Ain't Noise Pollution, you know, all around. Let Me Put My Love Into You, all around. This is, you know, second Thriller is the number one best-selling album in the world. This is second. I believe this is sold like 25 times platinum, which is like 2 times diamond or something. I don't know how the hell they do this stuff nowadays, but this album still sells. It's a number one bestseller on Amazon. I see it at Target. I see it at Walmart. You see this album everywhere. It is a big seller, and you know, for good reason. You know, classic for a reason. All right, so these final two are very hard for me to rank because one, I don't really know which one I like more than the other. But when it comes down to it, I picked number one, which was like my first true AC/DC album, the first album that I really got from the band that I played over and over again. So I'm going to stick with that for my number one. For number two, I'm going to go with Powerage. This album is certainly underrated. I mean, I don't think it even has sold a platinum yet, which I think is like utterly horrendous. Maybe it has sold like once time platinum, but I mean, I think this should be a lot more. To me, this is just AC/DC at their peak. This album, the album before it, and then the one right after, and then obviously the one after that, is just everything that the band is good at coming together. I mean, this has some of the best stuff they've ever put out. Rock and Roll Damnation, Down Payment Blues, Give Me a Break. That song is amazing. Give Me a Bullet. The lyrics in Give Me a Bullet make Stiff Upper Lip look like a pile of shit. Riff Raff is awesome. Sin City, What's Next to the Moon, Gone Shootin'. Oh my gosh, I love Gone Shootin'. Up to My Neck and You, Kicked in the Teeth. Such a good damn album. I mean, it was in the 100 greatest rock albums of all time, like little like magazine from like the. It's not like the definitive list. It's just like they let people vote on their favorite albums, and this one got in here, and I'm so glad, because it deserves it, bro. I have the poster up in my room, up there. But number one for me is gonna be probably AC/DC's greatest work ever. And I mean, Powerage some days to me is a little better than this, but I mean, in the end, if I was to pick one album to have the rest of my life, if I was to pick one album, or from the band at least, if I was to pick one album to give to someone to start them off with AC/DC, it would be Highway to Hell, and that is no question about it. This album is perfection. It's one of those perfect albums. I mean, it's the same thing with Powerage, but I think this one is just as perfect. Definitely, I don't want to say a little more commercial than Powerage, but it's definitely a little more commercial. It's not really poppy, but I mean, it's definitely just a little more. Everyone knows this album as well. I mean, if you don't know the album, you know the title track. Everyone knows the title track. Come on, bro. If you don't know the title track, like even more so than Back in Black, everyone knows the title track. Girls Got Rhythm is awesome, but the best two songs are Walk All Over You and Touch Too Much. You cannot listen to one of those songs without listening to the other. It's like listening to the Hellion without listening to Electric Eye. It's a sin if you don't do that. Beating Around the Bush is great. Shot Down in Flames is awesome. Get It Hot, short, quick, to the point, doesn't overstay its welcome, really good. If You Want Blood, You've Got It, once again, banger song. Love Hungry Man and Night Prowler, interesting way for the band to end the album. I wish they had kind of ended it maybe with If You Want Blood. I think that would have been an amazing album closer, but I mean, who really fucking cares? I mean, Night Prowler is just amazing. This is one of the best albums of all time. It's definitely in my top 20, maybe even top 10. And it is just perfection. If you have not heard, even if you're not a fan of AC/DC, if you're not a fan of hard rock or heavy metal in general, I don't give a crap. I would recommend listening to this. It is good. You'll enjoy it. You probably won't regret it. Unless you're like a super diehard Christian or anything, and like you don't want to listen to anything that has, devil horns and everything, then yeah, maybe this isn't for you. But other than that, check it out, bro. I mean, even if I'm a Christian, bro, and I still blast this all the time. And I sing along to the whole thing. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go worship the devil. People are stupid sometimes. Gosh, this is an amazing album. Please listen to it. So that being said, I did it under 30 minutes. That's like a record for me. Thank y'all so much for listening to this, or watching this, I guess. I know it's not the best quality. I mean, you're staring at a freaking floor. But I mean, you know, I'm just doing this kind of for myself. I'm not doing it for y'all necessarily, and I think it's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe, like, share, and all that good stuff. Oh, and leave a comment too. I know that one of you is gonna leave a comment, but anyways, peace out, guys. Remember, rock forever, as Judas Priest says. Peace.